Good evening. I'd like to call to order Town of Manchester Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for March 18th, 2014. First item on the agenda is the approval of the February 18th, 2014 minutes.
I reviewed them and looked pretty simple, and I recommend we approve them.
Second.
Okay, motion on the floor to accept as written with no changes. Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Item 3, reports. Board of Zoning Appeals.
I have no Board of Zoning Appeals hearings. I had no reports for you. So I'm going to move on and let Steve fill in. I have nothing else.
Good evening, Mr. Miller. How are you?
Fine, Mr. Perricone, how are you?
Good.
Do you know when winter's going to end?
Not soon enough.
You're absolutely right. Last Tuesday night at the town council meeting, I did make mention to the mayor and council, which I commended our entire staff for the fantastic job that they've done over this past winter, especially our public works department. What I explained to the mayor and the council, that snow plowing is not a priority. We have our other jobs that we have to take care of during the day, and that's visiting 31 separate locations every day that these folks have to take care of our water and wastewater. So I do commend those folks for a fine job. Some good news, we did receive word from Maryland Department of Planning that we are now a sustainable community in the state of Maryland, which was excellent. Our application was being reviewed. I was notified last Wednesday or Thursday on that. So that is a plus for the town of Manchester. That opens the doors to many opportunities for grants for the town. And also in regards to our the possibility of our new building, we're going to be traveling to Conewago Township tomorrow to look at their facility. They have a similar facility what we would like to build, and that's a combination town hall, administrative offices, and police department. We're going to travel there tomorrow. Also on Monday, we're going to meet with Camlin and Associates. They are the firm that are going to draw us up a concept design for a basic concept design of our new facility. So we're very excited about that. Other than that, that's it.
Very good. Congratulations on your sustainable community approval. Tammy, anything from the council?
Nothing outside of what Steve is saying. I believe we're still waiting on that I&I study. It'll be a while.
Actually, the work is to begin, and I'm turning over to my Director of Public Works. The work is to begin tomorrow, Thursday, on the camera work. The company's coming in from Camp Hill. I believe we contracted to do 6,000 feet, and they're going to be starting that on Thursday, as Mr. Knott advised. So that is the first step. The first step, of course, is to camera the lines, find out where the problems lie, and then the second step will be actually to take care of the problems, probably with lining the pipe. We've done that in the past, and it seems to alleviate the problem.
Very good.
Got an old business question. Did we ever get any further on the little planetarium in Catherine's Call?
In Charlotte's Quest, we were not accepted for that.
Okay.
One went to Tonytown, and the other one went to Bear Branch.
Okay. I read the Bear Branch article, is what I was.
Yeah. That's a shame. That would have been a plus for Charlotte's Quest Nature Center, yes.
Very good. Ms. Moser, I believe we walked in together. Do you have anything from the county?
Good evening, everybody. No, I do not have anything to report this morning.
Very good. Okay. Item number 4, Manchester Farms Section 7-T-13-007P Concept Approval.
Okay, I sent that back out as preliminary. Some
Right.
error on it.
My error. Sorry.
And we have Steve Miller here this evening and also Brian Knott, our Director of Public Works, for further discussion on some of the issues. I reiterated, I put the minutes out there that are highlighted from when you gave the concept approval, because you can put some conditions on it. And I also have given you, another copy again of the comments that did come out of this office, which were water and sewer comments previously, so, some of them have been addressed and some of them have not. Unless you have
Okay.
specific questions, I don't know if you wanna let.
Yeah, I mean, let's, yes, sorry. Yes, I'd like to start off with Mr. Knott and Mr. Miller to see what comments they have moving forward at this point.
Well, two main items, actually three main items. Two main items, we'll work on the water first. We did request that the water main be looped through, as you see on the plans, through Starlight Court, crossed the athletic field to Southwestern Avenue. That would basically be from Susan Ann Drive all the way across. That makes perfectly good sense. We can loop our system. We did request some distribution valves, and they've been installed. So basically, in the world of water, and Commission Member Graham alluded to that, you know, it makes perfectly good sense for hydraulic purposes. And whenever we can loop a main, it's better because then we don't end up with a dead-end main, which can cause problems as far as sediment and rust and so on and so forth. So that's a plus. In our comments, we did mention about putting a gravity line in behind the existing homes on Charmel Drive. We know through past history that there are a lot of the septic systems failing in that area. We thought, you know, we would request that this line be put in with the laterals looking down the road in case any of their septics fail, that they could tie into the town's sewer line. We felt this was a valid request due to the fact that while we're in that area, causing, you know, we're doing excavation and so on and so forth, we felt now was the time to do it. Instead of, you know, reacting to a problem possibly 10, 15 years down the road. The other item that came up off the top of my head that I can think about is the actual stormwater line, and I think Commission Member Graham may allude to this a little bit later. The stormwater line running on the slope. The details are very vague. I can't really see if there is an actual shelf that we can get in at a later date where we could do maintenance to that line, and we're very concerned about that as far as future maintenance to that. Also tonight, we did ask for a larger plan on the stormwater line that will travel down Susan Ann Drive to the existing facility, the existing stormwater management facility. And we were given that tonight. I think Donnie has skimmed over it real quick. The plan that is shown, I believe, is in 100 scale, and it was kind of hard to read to see how close the new line is going to be to the right-of-way. So those are our concerns based on Public Works concerns. I believe we had some other items which, off the top of my head, of course, the water system addition needs to be placed in our hydraulic model, which is not a problem. The fire hydrant shown in front of 367, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the additional fire hydrant was placed on the plans.
I believe it's moved up to the cul-de-sac.
Okay. We had numerous discussions, of course, about numerous discussions with the developer and the design engineer on the relocation of the water main. And, of course, the signage, that's taken care of. utility easement.
Yeah, I think that was it. Let me just add that. That's storm drain, that was it.
Correct, correct.
Stormwater pond slopes, what would be?
Yes, I think we may have some questions come up about the slopes on the stormwater management facility. So those are the items that we have. So,
Okay. Mr. Knock, did you want to add anything?
Just the sidewalks, I'm a little concerned with, if we're gonna be going under the sidewalks, repair of those to make sure that if they are gonna go under. And one other question, maybe Robert answered this, the storm drain, is it going to be an additional line, or is this going to be just one larger line? Well, I'm not sure on that.
Additional.
Additional, okay. Okay, that's question, other than what that was discussed, mine right now.
Thank you. Okay. Anybody else want to comment on what Mr. Miller or Mr. Knott said before we let the developers come up and get other questions?
I would like to hear their presentation
Yeah.
before I start weighing in.
That's fine. Who's here to represent Manchester Farms?
I'm Robert Homewood with Bob Ward Companies and Jeff Mackay with MRA.
Okay,
Come on
and
up
you just need
and-
to go over that way, and I don't care if you stand in front of the microphone or hold it, whichever one you'd like to do.
Colored rendering, I don't know. The same.
Yours is much nicer.
Jeff, do you want to go with the county comment?
I was just going to give I guess, a brief presentation.
Sure.
Robert said, I'm Jeff Malphy with Mason Ritchie Associates, and our role with our board. We received concept plan approval back in September from the planning commission, with conditions. I believe we've addressed all the conditions on this latest plan. The site is 7.09 acres and is zoned R 15,000 community residential. We're proposing 15 single-family lots as opposed to the concept plan, which showed 16. We eliminated a lot down here in the Tulsa Chandler Drive, Flyer. I don't think anyone really wanted that lot. The county wasn't happy with it, so the planning commission wanted it either, so we eliminated it. There are no tidal wetlands, floodplains, or historical structures on the site. We're proposing public water and sewer. And also, we have shown a public line on the back, along the property line between the Country Lake Estates and our property, as was mentioned by Mr. Miller. Our preliminary plan submittal, we've submitted it, this is the second time we got comments from the county. The first time, basically it's 4 sheets. It's the plan view, which you can see here, along with the profile, runs down to the existing stormwater management pond. The second sheet shows the off-site storm drain profile. So we actually did a profile of this storm drain, which isn't required by the town or the county, but we wanted to show it so you can get a better idea of what we're proposing. The third sheet is a road profile, Starlight Court, and which shows site distance and a storm drain drainage area map. And then the fourth sheet is a landscape plan. And as I mentioned, we did submit plans to the county and to the town. And the first go around, we had comments from planning, engineering review, grading, stormwater management, forest conservation. And since then, we have received approval. We have stormwater management approval. We have forest conservation approval and grading approval. There are We still haven't gotten final approval from planning and engineering review, but their comments, I have the comments here, they're very minor, and they're more of a final design nature. We basically have no issues with any of their comments, we just haven't got the response yet.
Modern dig on the basin.
Yes.
Slope, that kind of.
Yes, this, the existing stormwater management pond, we're providing water quality for the entire watershed. And we're gonna redo the sand, there's a sand filter in the bottom, I think it's clogged. They want us to put, I believe it's between 12 and 18 inches of sand in the bottom with an under drain. And it'll provide stormwater for the entire drainage area. And that was approved, so we've gotten, from the county, we've gotten concept stormwater approval and site stormwater approval. And the only thing that's left is to get final stormwater management.
Your stormwater improvements to that pond, are they limited to the current footprint? Are you enlarging the footprint of that pond, including the tile slopes? I know the county had a comment about the side slopes that were shown.
Yes, we're gonna need to get on one side into the open space area. Might have to go in, put about 20 feet, a little bigger. Because it's picking up a little, actually, we're picking up this additional area. So it has to get a little bigger, but we'll make sure that the slopes, we had showed 3-to-1 slopes originally, I think they want 4-to-1. I think that the town actually is okay with 3-to-1, but the county would prefer 4-to-1.
That'll be brought up to full current MDE specs. Okay. That open space parcel that is just to the side there, does that have a forest conservation easement on it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. And your forest conservation approval, does that include replacement of that area?
Well, I think we'll be able to replant, we looked at it, and there's nothing currently planted there as far as trees, it's just grass, but we can replant that area. So I don't believe there's any reason to redesignate it, or we can still consider that forest conservation.
Okay, so that'll be outside the easement for the stormwater portion. Okay. Storm drain that's shown going down to that pond, I know it's conceptual. There are a lot of utilities, obviously, you're gonna have to dart and dive around, and it appears you're trying to keep it in the sidewalk shelf in between the curb and the right-of-way line, is that correct?
Yes, we're gonna keep it in the right of way, it won't be on anyone's property. I believe there's a 15-foot area through there, it's wider on that side. I don't believe there's sidewalk on that side. But I'm looking at the aerial. So yes, and we also had a local contractor look at it, and they're actually, what was it? It was Able Construction looked at it. They built section 4, and it was the same person who was in charge of section 4. And you would have to, there are water and sewer services, but there are no, the electrical and the cable are on the other side of the road. So we will be avoiding, we won't have any conflict with.
You'll just have the crossings that are the actual service connections, not the mains, okay. Will you be able to keep all of your construction activities within the right-of-way, or are you going to need to seek easements from various property owners? Obviously, you don't fully know that yet, but
I believe we'll be able to keep it inside the right of way. That's what particularly
That's the
we
goal.
spoke to Able Construction about.
Okay.
They believe they can keep it in, so it won't be a very deep, fairly shallow, 3 or 4 or 5 feet. It'll probably have to be deep enough that it's under the surface. Actually, it'll be under the water and probably over the sewer. So,
you're going to be threading the line down through there.
but the sewer generally, I believe the sewer services are 10 feet in the ground, 8 to 10, and the water's probably 3.5 to 4.
Well, obviously, you've got a lot of steps to go through before you know all the final answers on there. I just want to get a better understanding of where we're at on that. And obviously, any hydraulic pressure coming back off the pond will be addressed appropriately. Early concepts indicate that. Just want to make sure we're all on board. We're not going to get hydrostatic pressure coming out of the line and undermining our roadway in the future, right? Okay. Next question, which Steve kind of alluded to, along that southern area There appears to be a 2-to-1 slope, plus or minus, going up off of Jammer up to the back of those houses, yes. It also appears that we're at about 34 foot of fill at our highest point, so we need to make sure we get a safety bench in there for the slope, but also for the maintenance of that storm drain line.
In fact, we do have a bench with a swale. We can make it wider. It's something we prefer for maintenance. I think right now it just shows a swale. We can add 5 or 10 feet.
It appeared to be a swale. Just want to make sure that we're going to have adequate safety for our workers when they go in there, as well as for any homeowners as they're trying to maintain those areas.
We should be able to widen that.
Okay. I think we just need to verify a couple elevation points along that storm drain run. Seems like there has been some work in progress, as it always is, and I know you're not quite there yet, so let's just verify elevations that are shown on the plan versus some of the grading contours. On your plans, when you reference an FF and an elevation, are you referencing to the basement or to the first floor?
First
First floor. Okay. Again, let's double check a couple of those elevations. Some of them didn't quite seem to marry up when I was looking at the plans. As far as the water line is concerned, obviously pressure is going to be a concern, especially as we get to those upper units on the cul-de-sac. Without the looping, we do have concern about hydraulic pressure to the houses. Sure, these are going to be 2-story houses for the most part with upper showers, and coming off a single line, we may or may not have adequate pressure. So as we move into final design, we really need to evaluate whether that loop needs to go through or not.
We'll do a fire flow test with one of the closest hydrant, check, see if it's static pressure.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised to see that had been dropped off the plans. I compliment you on adding your dry wells. Those are always nice to help recharge our aquifers. Compliment you on the putting the sewer line in the rear to service your neighbors. Looks like there's going to be looks like there's less gradient differential now. Am I right? Looks like things have come up a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, the site is very closely balanced. I mean, we're cutting the high side, we're
Right.
doing the low side.
And you've been bringing in fill over time off your other sections. That helps as well. Again, another comment looking more towards the future as we move into final design. Do we know where the septic fields are for those adjacent homes? I mean, I know they're towards the back, but how far towards the back?
We don't know at this time.
Okay.
We can certainly find out.
Work through our statements here. Okay, we're showing sidewalks on both sides. Good. Your street grade is relatively flat where the one pedestrian crossing will be, so that's very nice.
This side. So I think it's 15 feet.
Let's verify our drainage areas as well.
I don't know where the line comes down through. I'm assuming this is the line.
Those are my main questions.
That's a sewer line, right?
Thank you. Covered most of them. That's the sewer line here.
Yes.
Dead ends here.
It ends just on to, there's the last manhole. They're showing an easement to be extended up to the western property line.
Good.
There's an existing 7.5-foot easement
On the existing lots.
And this
But
is
you're
all,
extending the easement all the way to your western side.
Yeah.
and this is the storm, the newer storm water, these are coming in
Correct.
here, right? And they all dump into here and come out.
Right. And then it continues on down Susan Ann to the pond.
It appears to be.
So that line going up technically isn't going up.
Correct.
I was trying to,
Yeah.
with these numbers here. There's no, what I was talking about is between manhole 115 and manhole 114. Even though the diagram's showing it, it's right on the corner. That's still a downhill run, obviously, I'm guessing, even though it's showing up.
Storm drain or?
Yeah, for the storm drain between manhole 115 and 114. You don't see any problems with that being with the grade on that, with the fall.
Oh, that right here?
Yes.
Yeah,
mhm.
now it's falling.
Even-
You're talking grade, but it makes it.
Just as long, okay.
Yeah, we'll make sure, there might be a little flat, pipe will be flat in there, but we'll make sure it's.
Okay.
Don, what is the max service depth we can maintain storm drain lines right now with our current equipment?
About 7 feet.
About 7 feet, okay. Okay. So we're pushing it on one or two of these structures, but okay.
Yeah, I drove down there and from what I remember, this, this storm line, when you cross and go over on Suzanne Drive, when you get to the left side, I think it's just street and curb. I don't think there's any. You're talking on the just on the outside of the curb in the easement, because I don't think there's any sidewalk here. I'm not sure on this first part coming down when you're on the right-hand side before you jump over.
Sidewalk there.
There's a little bit of sidewalk there. Okay,
So we figured 11 aprons would have to be replaced.
okay.
We were trying to figure out a way to come down the left-hand side, but it just made more sense on this side.
Instead of going across Pyramid Circle. Yeah. Well, where's this stormwater go?
Comes to this pond also.
From the back?
Well, there's a line that comes in on the other side, comes across, and then
Okay.
comes in from the back right here.
Oh, I see it.
That's saying they're gonna be doing upgrades to that pond that services its entire drainage shed, so.
So it's all new line. It's not we're not jumping onto this old line.
They would stay in place.
Mm-hmm.
But the last line that goes into the pond, I think we show that.
Existing, sure.
We might replace that line going in. Haven't decided, I mean, we haven't really got that, we may just replace that line, combine it. That would be the only one.
Well, I'd just like to add to what Bob said. I commend you for moving the troubled lot there off Camera Drive and putting in the proposed wastewater for the future for the town.
Yeah, that issue I have a problem with, but, because if you're asking
Well,
them
it's
to
a-
do off-site improvements, if it's not like we're running it to our subdivision and everything's going, but to do 2 lines, and then the folks behind us not contribute to it, but there's some other issues, so that's when I talked to Donnie and Steve about it. Michelle was like, either or, either you loop the water line or we do the off-site sewer. So Donnie, looping the water is a wise thing to do, but very few municipalities or water company ever loop a line 40% for that little bit of a street. But that's less maintenance, and then down the road, you don't have to flush the mains out. And then the off-site sewer still is a concern, but there's some other issues that I think we can work it out. So if we can work the other issues out, it would be beneficial to the community to have that off-site sewer. But typically, the developer gets reimbursed if they're going above and beyond. But it's a good relationship, so we like the town of Manchester, and it's been all these years, and you put up with MS over there, us building. So, so if we can work the other things out, which I think we can, then we're fine with doing that off-site sewer and looping the water.
Yes, there's some legwork that the town has to do as far as that sewer main's concerned. And the legwork that I'm talking about is, we want to contact every one of those property owners and bring them in and make them very clear, you know, what we are planning on doing. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, we do have in our code that if the sewer runs, in front of your house, you have X number of days to tie in. We have not really abided by that over the last few years. The reason why, we feel that if your septic system is working properly and everything is fine, that's fine. We have no problem with that. But, especially in here, as I alluded to earlier, these areas are known to fail. These septics are known to fail. Similar to the homes on Shore Mill Drive on the south side that the developer put a gravity line in. A little bit different situation because their force main had to dump into the gravity. But the gravity line was run and the laterals were placed at the property line for future. So I think it's a wise move for everyone. But we do want to bring these property owners in and explain to them, you know, what is taking place. So,
Yeah, I would appreciate it if we don't have to get involved if the homeowner, okay, was doing, if the town would do that.
we can take care of that. That's no problem. Yep. Yes. Personally, if I was one of the homeowners, I would be in favor of it. I mean, you know, so. It would, the cost of the homeowner?
Cost of homeowners.
The cost of the homeowner would be, if your septic would fail, of course, you'd be responsible for tying in to the line. You'd be responsible for that plumber's bill to tie in.
Which would be significantly less than trying to comply with
And putting
the
in
new
a putting in
regulations
a
on
new
septic fields.
system. Right, right. So that's something you have to weigh out, correct.
But that's only if it's in the front of the house,
Your septic,
like my septic's in the back of the house.
okay, in your case, the line would have to go from the end of your property, your line, the end of your property to the rear where your line out of your house goes into your septic system. Right, so I'm looking at the plans, Mr. Sisler, and it's a pretty good run. It'll be a pretty good run, and then there has to be cleanouts placed along the way. So, but when you weigh out the cost, between the cost of a new septic system compared to the line with individual cleanouts along the way, I think the cost of the line would be less than a new septic system. And as Commission Member Graham had mentioned, finding a site on your lot may be very, very tough with the new regulations that are in place.
Well, my concern would be, if you don't mind me speaking now, my concern would be, my septic system is fairly new and it was enlarged. And of course, everybody knows that the runoff goes out into the ground and runs off. Now with a new development going behind me and a lot of digging and whatever, even as much as traveling the water from across the athletic field, is that gonna cause any kind of problem with my septic system now? In other words, will that back up my septic system? Which I don't have any problem at all. Matter of fact, in the 10 years I've been there, it's been fine. I've had it pumped a couple times, but it wasn't even hardly necessary. But now, if I all of a sudden notice, after this development starts, that it starts backing up because it's not draining properly, then I'll be forced to tie in. Is that what you're saying?
If your septic fails,
Yeah.
right, it would be wise, yes.
Right.
Yes. Due to the construction, I can't answer that. I mean, that's any.
Hydraulically, we're lowering our site, so that would take pressure off your septic, because our site's going down, so.
So all my septic's going into your.
Right, and that sewer line's
They should have nice green lawns.
sewer line's gonna have gravel in it, so if you have any people that might have failing systems now might benefit from this, because that gravel will take the moisture right out. It will follow the sewer line. So it's pretty typical. Now, if we were raising it, then hydraulically you would be a concern, but, York County, Windsor Township, was about $28,000 for a homeowner to run a line. Okay, so it's very beneficial, so anyone that does have a problem, they just have to pay a tap fee, I imagine, and their plumber, which is really significant.
The other thing I was concerned, as you folks were talking, you're talking about running the water line from southwest across the athletic field into the new development. Why couldn't they go down, because there's a very large shoulder, to Charmel Drive on Suzanne Drive, and come right up and into their area, instead of going all the way across to southwest? Water line runs up there too.
Well, we're connecting the line from Susan Ann to Southwestern, and that creates the loop. From Susan Ann all the way across to Southwestern.
Yeah, but you'll have to end up digging up the off-street parking probably, and into the center of the road or wherever the water line runs down into the development there.
In order to make that connection, you are correct.
The-
They would
the
have to go
answer-
across the ball field and the
Yes, the
parking.
answer to both is yes. That is correct.
And regardless of what ends up happening with the looping, their main service is gonna come off of Susan Ann side. That's where they're connecting from. What we're requesting for is a extra measure of reliability for the town's water system to allow better flows through the water system so it doesn't sediment up, so it doesn't get air bubbles in it and cause pressure problems by connecting the line between the two roads.
So it'll be like an H.
It'll be like an H, yep.
And what's the advantage again?
Should a water line break, it would allow us to isolate a part of the system and not shut down multiple homeowners. Also, if you have a line that goes downhill, what ends up happening is you get sediment in the water line. If you have a water line that goes uphill and stops, you have the possibility of getting an air bubble in that line and causing pressure problems for the residents.
I'm with you. So you're saying from Susan Ann and Charmel, it's too low to get up to their property?
No. I'm saying that it's a redundancy measure in order to protect the reliability of our system for the town as well as the homeowners in the area. That there's the potential of there being an air bubble and causing that on-off, like when your well pump is pumping and it starts to get a little bit of a hiccup in there. Trying to avoid that. Trying to avoid sedimenting lines also by keeping the water flowing through the system constantly.
It would just come in and go out.
Doesn't the Ward's development, the Manchester Farm one, don't they get the water from Charmel Drive?
It comes in numerous locations, right. It comes in Charmel Drive, it comes in off of Burkfell Road, it comes in at multiple locations. Actually comes in Patricia Court, Washington Way. Yep, the entire area back in there is completely looped around. It's one complete grid, let's say, yes.
I was just thinking, it seems to be much easier, less costly to bring it up from Charmel Drive or tap off of the line if it's going down from Charmel Drive into Manchester Farms 1. Why couldn't you just tap off that line?
And actually, that's what they're actually doing. Jeff, can you show Mr. Sisler, the water main, right, there's a water main on Susan Ann Drive that comes
Right.
off of Charmel. So they're gonna take it in a northerly direction through the development, all the way across the athletic field to Southwestern Avenue. Right, so you'll have an entire loop through there.
Where do they go after here?
And then there's a line on Charmel
We
Drive.
have to put that
Or is
connection
that
back.
in the middle of the road?
They had a
main
connection
water line?
like that.
That's the
Southwest?
loop part.
That's the loop
Southwest,
part.
no, I believe,
that's the utility.
actually, the water main sets, it's marked off here. It's more to the northern side, right,
Okay, so it's
correct.
on the side.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because I know there's people that
And manholes. Are they on there?
No, not yet. They will be. In the final.
Any other questions?
I want to make sure as far as going down across that James Drive, that as you were talking, that shelf and everything, I don't want a big flood coming down and wiping what little road I have out, unless, there's to go ahead and blacktop it. Maintain it for me.
They have reduced the amount of that hillside from what the original plan showed. They've shown a swale partway down it to catch as much water as they can at this point. We're asking them to enlarge that swale for our maintenance crew's safety. So,
Is there an additional swale at the bottom there?
No.
I see the one in the middle by the
Basically
pipe.
here, I mean, we're picking up, it used to be all of this went this way. Now it's just gonna be from this point down, so we're picking up everything above this swale that used to drain across the drive. It's gonna be much less runoff across there than there was before. But no, there isn't one at the very, so basically it's just this last little area right here. Keep going, that's probably 5% of what used to go that way.
Am I reading a 10-foot slope on 45 feet?
34 foot on this lot. It's 34 foot of grade change here.
So
970 to 1,000.
Okay. 10 to 15 foot on the east side and 34 at its highest point.
That's over about a
Yeah.
50-foot section,
Yeah.
maybe 50,
Across from lot 360, yeah.
somewhere in here, so that's 45 feet.
That's 35 foot of grade change, a 45 foot easement that they're not doing anything in.
Okay.
Right, so by taking that lower lot out, then his upper lot got deeper, people had more backyard.
Yeah.
So we looked at it, it'd be wiser to have 15 nice lots than perhaps 10 nice lots and 6 questionable ones.
And they're walkout lots also. There's a 6-foot, I was gonna say there's a 6-foot bench in there also,
that's.
between, so there's an out and walkout.
Yeah,
These lots are in,
No more traffic, with that lot being gone, that corner lot, there's no more traffic coming back.
No,
It's already there.
that's gone.
I think that's a pretty straight shot across. I know it's tough because you take money off of that lot, but.
Well, but it costs a lot of money too, so it was.
Well, yes.
Yeah, it would've.
Better off.
To be honest with you.
The big complication on this parcel was there was no outlet to a stream. So we did approach the Cooks, but that got nowhere.
I figured that much.
So with that, the town was open-minded about us going down Suzanne. But that cost, that's a significant cost. I mean, it's huge. So basically, it's, what's going in here is, we're hoping to make money on the houses. So, but if we would have tried to, originally it was designed for a infiltration area with a level spreader and all that to go on Cooks, which
Yeah.
would always fail, so we didn't want that issue, so we decided it's our last piece, let's do it right and, not have litigation later, so.
Now, there's I know it may not have anything to do with you, because you're on the other side of the road. BG&E has a transformer up there. They making any plans to take that? No, it would be over here. It'd be over here. Be over here or here. Are they making any plans to tie into that you know of, or just contact BG&E?
We just submitted for the design, the right-of-ways are submitted, so they'll be doing a design, so we don't know how they're gonna design it.
Okay.
But That's why I'm asking, I didn't know. Yeah, won't know until they do their designs.
Does mean anything? Do we have to approve that?
No, they don't cost about,
Oh, really?
Any other questions?
Well, the only other question, would those homeowners have access to their back property using Jamer, or can I keep them off of Jamer? Because that's my drive. I realize it's a right-of-way, there's 5 lots back there for a right-of-way. Are there any plans to keep a fence down through here to stop them from whatever,
the only-
moving trucks and whatnot to move furniture in, or is that gonna be
Well,
enough
it's
of
up-
that slope?
Yeah,
It's a pretty good slope.
Topography prohibits it, but the surveyors were researching the deeds, and I don't, still not quite sure.
It's a private drive.
Right.
For access,
Yeah,
for these bigger homes down here,
Right.
so I don't believe they have the right.
but you know how homeowners are.
No, the topography would prohibit it.
Okay. So you're gonna build that up. Okay. Because right now it's flat. Okay, so
Right,
you're
Bob,
gonna-
that's all gonna, yeah,
Okay,
there's gonna be a little shelf down there, but then it's gonna go up.
okay, understand. Well, now, when you start doing that work, do I need to, I was the one who put that gate up down there on Charmel to keep people from running from Susan Ann over to Southwestern and, all the dirt bikes and all that. You need me to have that open, take it down for you to have any access?
We won't need access
You won't
there.
need anything in there? Okay.
Unless the power company,
No, when they come out, every time my electric goes out, every time you sneeze, no, they know that's there, so they come in one way and go in the other. And they actually refuse to come in the bottom end because their trucks won't make it out to the top.
Mhm.
It's just their weight and whatnot just sinks right on in. They come up off of, Southwestern where it's level,
Coming
sit
that
up on
way.
top of the hill, and if they need to do anything down the other end, they just walk. That's why I was asking about BG&E. I realize you're not BG&E, but to me, it would be wise to go ahead and tie it in up there, because they spent, a day and a half trying to figure out how to get me electricity the last time when the wind was blowing.
well, maybe we're just happy to get something done with PG&E, so. I mean,
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
But they're kind of.
Okay, anything else so we can move forward? Okay, thank you, gentlemen, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Yes?
And,
From what I can
Thank
see,
you.
yes. Yes, I do see that right there.
Catch up with this one.
Well, yes, there it is, right there, right here. Yes, correct.
At this point, after, is there any further discussion you want to take place? Well, I will entertain a motion from the board.
Get that answered.
I let her catch up.
Yeah, we'll catch up. We're just waiting for you to catch up, so in case the motion was made, you would be able to write
Bob's
it.
staring at you, so you know he's got. Because I'm gonna let him do it, that's for sure.
So at this point in time, we're looking for a motion to approve the preliminary plan so that they can move forward with the county comments, is that correct?
But they're wanting. Yep.
Okay.
Well, that's a good answer.
They still need to come back through us for final approval.
Yes,
Okay.
and we probably will have another review prior to final, I'm sure, because by the time we get all the comments back, then I'd like you to address them, so we have everything in there, real good for. And we will probably put together another, memo to you guys with all, any comments that we feel need to be on the final, and I'll send a copy to that. As far as water and sewer.
Okay. Okay. Make motion to approve the plan as submitted, subject to the conditions and comments discussed at today's hearing, specifically related to the water loop, concerns about the storm drain and safety shelf, and the storm drain along Susan Ann Drive.
Okay. A motion to grant preliminary approval is submitted, subject to the conditions and comments discussed today, specifically the water loop concerns concerns on storm drain and the safety shelf and the storm drain along Suzanne Drive.
Being in the easement, concerns on the,
You can't add now,
I know, I'll wait till discussion.
okay?
Okay. Motion's been made.
I'll second the motion.
Okay. Any further discussion?
The stormwater, on Suzanne, your concern was in the easement or other concerns or just general?
It was general, and that should be flushed out during the county's final review of their storm plan.
Very good, no addendum.
Very good. Motion on the floor has been seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Very good. No other items on the agenda for this evening. I'll accept the motion for adjournment.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.